Welcome to the Formula Bone F1 Show's 2022 Azerbaijan Grand Prix podcast. I'm Jared Borislow, but you can call me J-Bone. Let's get into it, folks. J-Bone! Our first order of business today is getting to know the Azerbaijan Grand Prix and its incredible circuit that is my favorite on the F1 calendar, the Baku City Circuit. This Grand Prix is already seen as a staple of the F1 calendar, despite being a relatively new race. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix was first run back in 2017, though Formula One actually raced at the Baku City Circuit for the first time a year earlier under the European Grand Prix moniker. The Baku City Circuit in Baku, Azerbaijan, is 6.003 kilometers or 3.73 miles in length, and the Azerbaijan Grand Prix will be contested over the course of 51 laps around it. The Baku City Circuit features the longest effective straight in Formula One, a 1.4 mile or 2.2 kilometer behemoth that technically includes 4 turns, but is taken flat out by all drivers, so it's pretty much a straight despite having 4 turns in it. This straight played host to the fastest ever speed reached by a Formula One car during a Formula One session, 235 miles per hour or 378 kilometers an hour, achieved in 2016's European Grand Prix qualifying by Valtteri Bottas when he was driving for Williams. This straight also saw Daniel Ricciardo execute a triple overtake, as in he overtook 3 cars at once back in 2017 on his way to winning the 2017 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, a legendary move which helped give him his reputation as a great late breaker. Try saying that 5 times fast. Great late breaker, great late breaker, great. While the front straight is fast and wide and long at the Baku City Circuit, much of the circuit is quite narrow and technical, which has consistently been very punishing of those who get off the racing line at certain corners. This wide variety of challenges for drivers is part of the reason Baku is so fun to watch and also fun to drive if you're a sim racer. That is definitely the most fun F1 circuit to play in the F1 video game. It's you go so fast, then you have these technical turns, trying to avoid the wall, doing some crazy overtakes. There's the one turn on the really long front straight that you take going full speed is like nerve-wracking because you take it going full speed, but you're so close to the walls on either side. So fun. I love it. This is a great track to have immediately after the Esteban Ocon penalty ruling, where the stewards stated that room must be given if a front wing is next to a tire, as there are a ton of corners at the Baku City Circuit where drivers can attempt to overtake on the inside. Hopefully we see a bunch of attempts now that drivers may be more wary of closing the door too aggressively because of the penalty risk that we now know exists because of that ruling in Monaco. In terms of race results, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix may be the most consistently chaotic race on the entire F1 calendar. The Baku City Circuit is the only circuit on the current F1 calendar to have hosted 5+ Formula One races and never have a driver win there more than once. Formula One has raced in Baku 5 different times and had 5 winners, those winners being in order Nico Rosberg, Daniel Ricciardo, Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, and Checo Perez. Baku has also had 5 different pole sitters and 5 different fastest lappers. So a lot of stuff can happen. Anything can happen in Baku, as they say. A few examples, more specifically, of how chaotic Baku can be. The 2017 edition featured 3 safety cars and a red flag. It also featured Lewis and Sebastian Vettel playing angry bumper cars behind the safety car in the middle of their title fight. That was dramatic. Seb claimed that Lewis brake tested him at a corner while behind the safety car, and then Seb just pulled up alongside him and rammed into him. Crazy drama there. The 2017 race also featured Lance Stroll's first podium. If that's not chaotic, I don't know what is. The 2018 edition of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix featured the legendary race-ending collision between then teammates Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo at Red Bull that you may remember from Drive to Survive. Daniel eventually cited Red Bull's handling of this collision as a reason why he ended up leaving Red Bull. The 2018 race also featured Valtteri Bottas suffering a race-ending tire blowout with just 3 laps left while leading the race. The 2021 edition featured Max Verstappen suffering a race-ending tire blowout while leading the race. You may be sensing a theme here. The 2021 edition, which is obviously last year's race, also had Lewis Hamilton locking up on the restart after Max's blowout and dropping out of the points. It also featured Checo's first victory as a Red Bull driver and Sebastian Vettel's most recent podium. All that is to say that I cannot wait to return to Baku this weekend for hopefully some more chaos. Speaking of Lewis's 2021 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, did you know that magic is the reason Lewis Hamilton didn't win the 2021 Azerbaijan Grand Prix? And no, I don't mean magic like that used by the warlock who cursed Charles Leclerc to always have bad luck at Monaco. I mean brake magic. The Mercedes steering wheel features what's referred to as a brake magic button. When pressed, this button instantly changes the car's brake balance almost all to the front brakes to aid in heating up the front tires, which are harder to heat up at low speeds than the drivetrain-connected rear tires. The more braking duties that the front brakes get, the hotter the front brakes. The hotter the front brakes, the hotter the front tires. The hotter the front tires, the more grip the front tires can achieve, which is why the brake magic button exists. The brake magic button is generally only ever pressed on the way to the grid before a race start or restart, or when behind a safety car, and then is meant to be always, and I mean always, turned off right before racing resumes, so that the car can brake normally again using all 4 brakes more evenly. This is because the car is very prone to lock up at higher speeds when that much brake balance is in the front brakes. Well, Lewis forgot to turn off the brake magic button before the 2021 Baku restart after using it on his way back to the grid after the red flag that was caused by Max's blowout. And you know what happened. He locked up at turn 1. And that took away a potential victory and points that maybe he could have used to win last year's World Drivers' Championship over Max. Crazy stuff. For tire compounds at the 2022 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Pirelli have opted once again for the softest possible tire selection, just like we had in Monaco, the C3 hards, C4 mediums, and C5 softs. Pirelli Motorsport Director Mario Isola had this to say about their choice. Quote, "Until Jeddah came along, Baku was the fastest street circuit of the year. But the demands of this city track are still relatively low as none of the corners take a huge amount of energy out of the tires due to the low levels of abrasion and contained lateral loads, which means that we can have the same nomination as Monaco. Having said that, the high speeds in Azerbaijan still place a certain demand on the tires. The main point is all about traction, with finding the right balance between front and rear axles being the key challenge for all the teams. You need to have enough heat in the front tires to generate grip, despite the long straights that cool them down, but not too much heat at the rear, otherwise it's easy to overheat them in the traction zones. Track temperature is also inconsistent in Baku, so all in all, it's quite a specific track with a few different technical challenges, which are nonetheless the same for everyone." End quote. And by the way, the reason that Isola says track temperature is inconsistent in Baku is because it's a narrow street circuit and the surrounding buildings and structures cast shadows on it that cool the track down. Little fun fact for you. Speaking of shadows, the sunglasses made by this episode's sponsor, Felix Gray, are, without a shadow of a doubt, the best sunglasses in the world. Let me tell you why. The good folks at Felix Gray create effective, research-backed products to improve humans' relationships with technology. It all started 5 years ago when Felix Gray set out to create eyewear that would make it easier and more comfortable for humans to stare at screens. Now, the thing about all these screens that we stare at every day is that they are wreaking havoc on our eyeballs and brains and causing things like eye strain, headaches, and blurry vision. The blue light emitted from these screens is the culprit, and Felix Gray's blue light lenses filter that blue light, 9 out of 10 Felix Gray customers experience relief from eye strain, headaches, and or blurry vision. You already know that Felix Gray sells clear and amber blue light glasses, both with and without prescription lenses, because I've talked about them on the show before. But did you know? Felix Gray also sells blue light sunglasses that do way, way, way more for you than the pair of sunglasses you currently own. Get this. Felix Gray sunglasses, which I'm wearing a pair right now and I love them, filter blue light to save your eyes and brain, because just because you're outside doesn't mean you aren't looking at screens like your phone, your laptop screen, and various jumbotrons at sporting events. Felix Gray sunglasses also enhance color, showcasing all colors in their most true, vibrant hues. They feature polarized lenses that block 100% UVA, UVB, and diminish distortion for optical clarity. Polarized lenses are amazing, as anyone who spends a lot of time outdoors knows. And the sunglasses also feature a backside anti-reflective coating to reduce indirect glare. I mean it when I say that these sunglasses truly do more than any sunglasses on the market today. And right now, you can get free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges for a completely risk-free shopping experience when you buy a pair with my unique URL, felixgrayglasses.com/FBONE. Try them out, and if they're not for you, just help yourself to free shipping, returns, and exchanges. You have nothing to lose. That's felixgrayglasses.com/FBONE, FELIXGRAY glasses.com/FBONE. There's a link for that deal in the description of this episode. Thank you to Felix Gray Glasses for supporting the Formula Bone F1 show. Next up, here are your storylines to follow for the 2022 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The first storyline, Ferrari need their comeback to start this weekend at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. After starting the season off with back-to-back double podiums, as well as 2 race wins in the first 3 races, Ferrari have only podiumed 3 total times in the last 4 races, with no race victories during that span. Now, during that same span, Red Bull have won all 4 races with 3 double podium finishes, and they've taken the lead from Ferrari in both the World Drivers' and Constructors' Championships. Not great for Ferrari, clearly. The Ferraris have definitely had the qualifying pace lately, with 2 front-row lockouts in the past 3 races, but race strategy, reliability, and race pace just have not been on their side, and they need to turn things around this weekend in Baku or risk Red Bull beginning to run away with both championships. And, unfortunately for Ferrari, Red Bull definitely have the upper hand in Baku on paper due to their superior straight line speed, with how much of the Baku city circuit consists of straight. As I said, there's a 2.2 kilometer long straight. Honestly, though, Ferrari's biggest advantage right now is that the 2 Red Bull drivers are now officially engaged in a World Drivers' Championship title fight with each other, which could help Ferrari out if things start to get chippy between Max and Checo, like, if a Max and Danny thing happens in Baku between Max and Checo. Now, speaking of which, the second storyline, can you imagine the drama if Checo wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix and takes the solo lead in the World Drivers' Championship away from his teammate Max Verstappen? Literally all Checo needs to take the solo lead in the World Drivers' Championship after the Azerbaijan Grand Prix is for just the exact same result as last year's race in Baku. P1 for Checo, a DNF for Max, and Charles Leclerc to get literally any result other than P2 with fastest lap. Additionally, if Checo wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix this weekend, Leclerc gets any result other than P2 with fastest lap, and Max finishes as high as 6th with fastest lap, Checo would still take the solo championship lead from Max. I said it on my last podcast, and I'll say it again. It happened last year, so good luck trying to tell me it can't happen again, because you can't. It's about time, in my opinion, that we got a title fight between teammates back into Formula One, so vamos, Checo. The third storyline, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, is our chance to see just how close Mercedes are to Red Bull and Ferrari. The Mercs looked great in Spain and then did meh in Monaco, but Monaco results are an awful gauge of how well developed a car is for literally a million different reasons. The Mercedes straight line speed improvement that we saw in Spain should be on display again in Baku, and Baku's status as a low downforce circuit bodes well for Mercedes, whose struggles with downforce were still apparent in Monaco. One thing to be on the lookout for this weekend is the Mercedes performance in Baku's slow corners. Slow corners were actually one thing that the pre-upgrade Mercedes was good at, but they struggled with slow corners in Barcelona's third sector after putting on their upgrades, though Toto Wolff claims that Barcelona's hot weather played a part in that. We'll find out in Baku. I am incredibly excited to see how the Mercedes performs in Baku, so long as they remember to turn off the brake magic before the race, of course. The final storyline: let's go Lando. Lando is okay. He's done with tonsillitis. Can't wait to see him race. That was J-Bone's 2022 Azerbaijan Grand Prix edition of the Pit Stop Boys 2022 smash hit, Let's Go Lando. After getting P8 in Spain and P6 in Monaco, both while ill, Lando is finally recovered. And with the form that he was in while sick, I am very excited to see what Lando can do while healthy. He finished P8 in Baku in 2019 and P5 in Baku last season, so that means he should finish P2 this weekend, right? Isn't that how it works? Speaking of health, get yourself a healthy dose of the best shorts on planet Earth with this episode's sponsor, Birddogs. Birddogs makes the best shorts you will ever wear, I promise you, and right now, you can get a free Birddogs dad hat with your order when you use code FBONE at checkout on birddogs.com. That's FBONE, FBONE, for a free dad hat when you buy the most insanely comfortable leg coverings on planet Earth. I'm wearing Birddogs shorts all summer long because you can do anything in them. Wear them while watching Formula One, working out, playing sports, sleeping, telling people that Sebastian Vettel is your friend, and even swimming. Birddog shorts are the best because they are so comfortable and because you can get them with built-in underwear that feels better on your skin than the finest silk sheets and is also super breathable, does not bunch up like traditional underwear, and is quick drying. These Birddog shorts, folks, have completely replaced my need for swim trunks because they double as swim trunks, which has saved me a bunch of money already. As far as the free dad hat goes, I just put mine on mid-podcast, and I wish I'd put it on sooner because I looked at the tape and I am having a bad hair day. F's in the chat for my hair in the first half of this podcast. Go to birddogs.com right now, enter promo code FBONE, FBONE, and they'll throw in that free dad hat with your order. You will not want to ever take your Birddogs off, I promise you. There's a link for that deal in the description of this episode. Thank you to Birddogs for supporting the Formula Bone F1 show. Finally today, here are my 3 Bone-afide race predictions for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix that are 100% guaranteed to either come true or not come true. Bone-afide prediction number 1, Max Verstappen will win the 2022 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Max has actually never finished on the podium in Baku in 5 race starts. In fact, he's DNF'd 3 of the 5 times that he's raced in Baku. That figure, of course, including the time he famously collided with then-teammate Daniel Ricciardo, as well as last year's race where he suffered a tire blowout while squarely in the lead with just 5 laps remaining. I think that Max badly wants redemption in Baku, and I know his car is fast enough to get it, as its incredible straight-line speed can absolutely feast on Baku's effectively 2.2 kilometer long front straight. Bonafide prediction number 2. Valtteri Bottas will finish in the top 8 in Baku. Bottas has driven well at the Baku City Circuit many, many times, with a win there in 2019, a second place finish there in 2017, and a near victory there in 2018 that was ruined when he suffered a tire blowout while in the lead with just 3 laps left. Not only that, but Bottas has finished in the top 9 of every single race this season, aside from the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix where he DNF'd due to engine overheating. Because of all that, I like him to finish squarely in the points this weekend at P8 or higher. And finally, bonafide prediction number 3. I think that George Russell will continue his streak of finishing in the top 5 of every Grand Prix this season. I'm only making this one of my Bone-afide race predictions as a jinx test to see if I am a jinx. If George breaks his insane 7-race top 5 finish streak in Baku, the answer is yes, I am a jinx. But if not, your boy J-Bone is jinx free, and I, for one, cannot wait to find out whether or not I am a jinx. J-Bone! Those were J-Bone's Bone-afide race predictions. Now I want to hear your Bone-afide race predictions. Let me see them in the YouTube comments section of this podcast, or you can tweet them at me at Formula Bone if you're listening to the Formula Bone F1 show instead of watching it on YouTube. That's it for today's episode of the Formula Bone F1 show. If you enjoyed the show and want to help me out, I would really appreciate it if you could toss me a comment, like, subscription, rating, review, or any other form of engagement on whatever platform you're on right now, so that said platform and its algorithm like J-Bone more. I respond to pretty much every single YouTube comment on my podcasts, and if you don't believe me, try it out. For Formula One updates between now and my Azerbaijan Grand Prix recap podcast, you can follow me on all social media at Formula Bone and at my real name, Jared Borislow. That's at JaredBorislow. Well, folks, until next time, J-Bone!